Hey everybody, and welcome to Sports Weekly. I'm your host Seth Hagen alongside my good friend Hunter Price. And this is the time where we take all the week's previous action and along with the action from the weekend and put it all together in a nice little hour for you. You won't miss a single beat, and we're right here to do it for you. Hunter, how's your week been, man? How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. I mean, it had its ups and downs, but
Of course.
it was good. It was good.
It's good.
Yeah.
And right now it's kind of dreary out there, so we're glad you guys are joining us on a Monday evening to talk some sports. Let's get some things kicked off immediately by reacting to last Monday's national championship game. I was not here thankfully you and Randy were able to pick up the slack for me, but what a game it was. I mean, so tight from the opening tip to the end. The biggest lead was really a 10-point lead by Nova and quickly erased by those Tar Heels and gave us one of the best endings I think I've ever seen. I mean, where were you when you watched it? Because I was watching on a phone.
To be completely honest with you,
Yeah.
I was at home. I was so sucked into the moment.
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember where I was.
Oh dude, it was a
No, but
moment frozen in time.
I
for
was
me.
I was at home, and as soon as Jenkins got that pass, you could see him.
Oh
in
yeah, the drop off. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, dude,
Beautiful.
big smooth
Yeah.
with big smooth with the 1-2 step.
It was magic,
String
man.
music.
It was
String-
magic. It was perfectly drawn up. Diacono comes down. Everybody thinks he's driving to the basket. Whoops! Sorry. Pull up 1-2. nothing
Oh,
but
it was
net.
honestly, it
Ridiculous.
looked so easy. It was genius X's and O's because, and what they did is, of course, they covered Ryan Arcadinho. How do you say his
Diacono,
name?
man. Diacono.
Diacono?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
I've heard it enough times. I hope
You know
I
what?
Get it
He's
right.
from Philly. His first name's, I'm gonna call him Arkadelphia. All right.
Okay.
They pressured him. All right, that's smart. You know, they can't roll the ball up the clock. And then they took Jenkins. It was smart by Nova. Instead of bringing Jenkins down and letting someone else inbound, letting him inbound because North Carolina, they brought that man back that would be covering Jenkins. They stopped penetration, which is what you want to do. You don't want to give them the lane with 4 seconds left
And
to get a
people
foul.
forget about the guy who inbounds a lot.
Yeah, and they forgot about him, and his man was step back and help for the drive. And then it was just simple rhythm for Big Smooth, man. Just 1-2 step up and shoot.
Just like in practice.
Oh, it was beautiful. And I mean, just like we talked about last week, it was North Carolina and their inability throughout the season to play a consistent game of defense.
It's true.
They
And really, truly, they never really got going on offense. They had little spurts, but Nova was able to really contain them for most of the game.
Well, it was what Nova did against them and what they did throughout the entire NCAA tournament. Especially, they made everybody react to what they were doing.
Absolutely.
You know, a great
Controlling the tempo.
defense makes the offense react. A great offense makes the defense react. Villanova was able to make their defense create the opposing offense to react, and vice versa. When they were on offense, they were acting. They were making the defense react. And they were very smart with their shots. The big thing about Nova in the tournament and the end of the season compared to the beginning of the season was their shot selection. Instead of just
beautiful shots
and
really tough shots against North Carolina
Yeah.
at the end of the day, an all-time offensive performance by Nova throughout the tournament.
You know, it finally clicked with them, and you know, I try and tell my guys this as well. Just because you're open doesn't mean it's an open shot. And Nova thought, hey, we want to shoot threes, which Jay Wright likes, shoot threes. Eventually the numbers are going to fall in our favor. I agree with that. But they were like, oh, I'm open, let's shoot it. Well, who cares if you're open if you're not in rhythm?
Yeah.
If you're not in rhythm,
That's what it's all about.
or if you hesitate at all, don't shoot it. And Nova finally picked up on that. That's why their shooting percentage was so high. And then on defense, it wasn't till the North Carolina game that anybody scored past the 50s against them.
It had been a while. It was
No, not a single
really
team.
both sides of the ball. Villanova was killing it.
Yeah,
Almost
throughout the entire tournament. And what it came down to on defense, I wish I could sit my guys down, or I'm sure any basketball coach would love to sit their guys down and just let them watch what Nova did on defense. active hands, active feet, feet constantly moving, hands constantly moving, constantly talking. You have those three things, you can run any defense and be successful.
And not to mention, like you said, that really controls the tempo. Teams really have to adjust to what you're doing when they're getting to the ball so quickly.
Yeah, they were able to control the tempo, and you saw that with their defense.
Yeah.
Their defense, allowing teams to shoot such a low percentage against them, to get the defensive rebounds, allowed them to kind of do what they wanted in the game. If more teams were hitting shots, then it allows them to create.
They never let it get out of hand. I think North Carolina's biggest lead was maybe 5 or 6 at most.
I think it got a little higher than that. I was driving home from the show, listening to it on the radio, and I can keep up with an Auburn-Alabama game on the radio.
Yeah.
That's no problem.
Right.
I'm listening to a national broadcast. Dude, it gets confusing.
Yeah, because it's guys that you're not necessarily familiar with.
It's like, okay, 10 minutes to go. Like, what's the score? Wait, what happened? What happened?
Right.
Iraqi, did you know? Did Iraqi didn't know shoot?
It all added up to a storybook ending for the entire college basketball season.
No better way to end it.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best finishes, if not the best finish I've ever seen.
Most dramatic finish of all time for a championship.
I would think so.
Right there. I think it's bigger than the Houston, North Carolina State.
I would agree.
Because Houston, North Carolina State happened by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy just ends up tipping it in.
What game would you put under there? Would you put Butler Duke? Gordon Hayward with the in and out?
That was a great one. Of course, Michael Jordan winning the game in '82 in his freshman season. Mm-hmm. The UConn game, or several UConn championships come to mind.
Yeah.
But to me, it topped all the rest, and it was exactly what we wanted. And now, unfortunately, we kind of have to move into some other things. You kind of want something like that to last. But we do have what may be a storybook ending to the NBA regular season. The Golden State Warriors are now one win away from breaking the '96 Bulls all-time regular season wins record. They beat the Spurs for the second time in about a week to do it. And now they stand at the precipice of history with just the Memphis Grizzlies in their way. What, to you, has been the biggest reason for Golden State's run? Is it just the three-point shooting, or is it kind of how they make teams react to them? What in your mind?
It's getting back to fundamentals. Mm-hmm. I think with the Spurs and the Warriors, you're working with the two best coaches in the game.
Right now, I can't disagree with you.
And Kerr hasn't been a head coach for very long, but
yeah, that's what's crazy about it.
But his experience.
Yeah. Not to mention being on the '96 Bulls team
and playing for the Spurs.
That's why
I give Kerr and the Warriors the edge over the Spurs, even if Spurs had home court, because Kerr played in Pop's system.
Is he kind of in Pop's head a little bit, almost?
I don't know if he's in Pop. No, I don't think so. Because honestly, you can make an argument, and I might agree with it, that Pop's the best NBA coach of all time.
He's up there, man.
No, he really is. I don't think you get in his head, but I think Kerr would sit around the table, listen to the game plan, was in that system for so long, and of course, every smart coach is constantly changing things.
Yeah, you have to.
But you also kind of stick with what you do. You have tendencies. Even coaches have tendencies. Sure. It just depends on if Kerr picked up on those. But with the Warriors, I thought it was interesting with the Warriors. I was reading an interview. You know what the first thing they did when they started training before the season?
What was that?
They worked on triple threat. They worked on bounce.
The most basic of basics at summer camps across the country.
They worked on bounce passing, chest passing, layups.
You can see how they play the game. I mean, these guys, I think they only average around maybe 10 or 11 turnovers in an entire game. The fundamentals of this team is incredible, folks. If you have not yet seen a Golden State Warriors game, the playoffs are right around the corner, but you definitely want to tune in. I think it's either tomorrow night or the next
you
night
haven't
where
seen
they
the
play
Warriors-
the Grizzlies and go for that record.
I think it's tonight. If you haven't seen the Warriors play, just don't even bother because you're going to be upset at what you've missed all year. But,
Maybe.
Yeah,
but
I tell you,
I would say.
the Warriors, they play as a team. Everybody knows their role. Nobody's really trying to one up.
It's a role-driven
Curry's
team.
Curry's dropping.
Everybody knows their place.
Curry's scoring 29 a game, but at the same time, Curry has no problem scoring 11 a game.
Yeah, and letting Clay score 40.
It's whoever steps up at that time. And then they're also, them and the Spurs, the two deepest teams in the league. With Iguodala coming off the bench, Brandon Rush coming off the bench, Sean Livingston's one of my favorite players in the NBA. I love Sean Livingston. Guy is awesome.
It's an insanely deep team.
And,
Then
you know,
got,
I hope
you got Festus Ezeli.
Yeah, Festus.
well.
You got Bogut. I hope my guys are watching because you know what the Warriors do that's so good? They run their transition lanes. You might not know.
There you go.
If they're watching, I hope they understand that. They run their lanes. Head is constantly up. And
You keep teams spread out that way.
and then X's and O's. Steve Kerr is one of the best X's and O's coaches there is.
I mean, what a place and what a career to be able to sit at the feet of Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich. It truly is
To
incredible.
be a part of the 95-96 Bulls.
I mean, what else could you possibly want? I mean, to be in this moment in time, to learn from both, and then to put it on, and, impart that knowledge to your team, and look at where he is.
And it wasn't
He's about to be a part of the two greatest teams of all time.
he built the Suns too. He was a GM at the Suns.
Back when Nash was playing.
Was he there when Nash was playing?
Well, what years was he was he running things?
He was the GM at the Suns before he went from the Suns GM to the Warriors.
Okay.
So he would have been there. I think it was 4 or 5 years. So yeah, it was there. He was there with Nash and Stoudemire, and
So then it's almost no surprise. And of course,
what if Kerr was coaching the Suns when they had Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, Grant Hill, even though he was dropping off at the time.
and what are the odds that here's what's crazy about it: two very pivotal players on that Suns team are now on the Warriors and on the Spurs. Your favorite guy on the Spurs coming off the bench, who's the matchup nightmare that you were talking about earlier today.
He's not my favorite guy, but no, for the Spurs to
Boris Diaw, he was on
for
the
the
Suns.
Spurs to beat the Warriors, they need Boris Diaw back. I'm interested to see if he's going to be coming back I believe he's coming back for the playoffs. He's been out, but
He'll be there.
the Spurs aren't beating the Warriors without Boris Diaw, which is funny because a lot of nights Boris isn't getting more than 10 minutes. But that's the thing about Pop.
It's a matchup.
Everybody has their role.
Yeah.
And when you buy in as a team and you do your role, it might be you play 10 minutes. It might be we need you 30 minutes. It might be that we sit Tim and Tony. Ginobili, you might have to step it up. Ginobili, you might be sitting.
As of a week ago, I really thought the Spurs had a very good chance, despite the good season that the Warriors have been playing, to upset the Warriors in the playoffs, in that Western Conference Finals.
Really?
Oh yeah, I think both teams are perfect. They move the ball so well. They have height. They have good point guards who take care of the ball. Great shooting, obviously. 3-pointers, you have to have that in today's game.
I trust the Warriors shooting. I trust the Warriors
pick your
shooting
poison
over the Spurs,
either way.
though.
Slightly edging them out.
Kawhi, I'd be interested to see.
I think that's going to be a 7-game series.
You know what? I'd like to see them put Leonard on Curry. I didn't get to watch the last game to see if they did that.
Absolutely. One of the best defenders in the league, you put on the best shooter.
Or Danny Green. You put Danny Green or Leonard on Curry, and you defend him straight up at least no later than half court. Too many teams are stopping.
You got to body this kid.
Too many teams are stopping him when they get into the offense. They're letting that transition happen. They got to stop him at half court and kind of disrupt that movement, that rhythm, and that motion of the team. That's how you get to the Spurs. I mean, to the Warriors.
All right. Cool. Well, hey, let's wait on that for a second. We're going to come back with even a bigger picture of the overall NBA playoffs. coming up. It's going to be some great basketball. You won't want to miss it, and you won't want to miss these next couple of segments coming up. And don't forget, we got spring football coming up even later on in the show. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back with more Sports Weekly.
At Premier Bank, you have a financial partner you can depend on. Hi, I'm Jay Mullins, president of Premier Bank, with some exciting news about our financial strength and performance. For the sixth consecutive year, our bank has been rated 5 stars by Bauer Financial, an independent firm that has been analyzing and reporting on the financial condition of the nation's banking industry since 1983. This prestigious rating means that we are one of the strongest banks in the nation.
I wasn't sure the Reggie
Wrapped in
was going to be
safe,
like a real
sound bank
player in
you
this
can
game.
depend on.
The 2016 Fiat 500X has arrived, and it's ready to drive at Fiat of Huntsville. This perfectly bold crossover is impressively equipped with a turbocharged engine, seating for 5, available all-wheel drive, and just $249 a month or $4,000 off. Plus, you get customizable amenities like 5 different trim levels to perfectly match your style. Come experience the all-new Fiat 500X at Fiat of Huntsville or online at fiatusafhuntsville.com, a Frank Williams dealership.
The exact same conference record. Celtics are a little, I mean, they're about the same on the road and about the same at home. Wow, that is the thing that's good. Boston, Miami, but I would definitely give Boston the Hey everybody, welcome back to Sports Weekly. I'm Seth Hagen alongside Hunter Price, and you caught us right in the middle of looking at the 2016 NBA playoff picture. Basketball is probably my favorite sport. Football, close second, but I love basketball, and especially playoff basketball in March and April. We just got done with a crazy March. Looking forward to some really great basketball.
How did
in
we
April.
survive growing up in this state as much as we love basketball? I mean, I love football as much.
I mean,
as
people love basketball around here too, so you can find your niche. But it's like
you can.
But I've definitely had to explain to people several times.
For
living
me,
in
everybody's
Alabama.
at the park. I mean, don't get me wrong. I put on my Auburn jersey when I was a kid.
Of course.
Put on the Jim Fife radio call, and I reenacted every single play out in the yard when the game went on. I had my helmet on, but I mean, all year long, it was imagination, 5-on-5, NBA All-Star game, just me out on the court.
Oh man.
Did you ever do that? Did you ever do that? Did you ever pick teams in your head and then you'd pass it? All right, Kobe's got the ball at the top of the key, and you throw it up high so you can run
I had
under
my
and catch
favorite
it, and you go-
teams, but it was me and my brother actually used to make up fake NBA leagues and stuff like
fake
that,
NBA leagues.
or just fake basketball leagues and play in them, and then we would like progress to the NBA after our college career or whatever. I mean, it was crazy, but love some basketball. And let's take a look at some of these matchups because
Let's do it.
the East is looking a lot better than it has in recent years, at least at the bottom. You're used to seeing one, if not two, sub-500 teams in the East actually make it into the playoffs. And now you have Detroit and Indiana both at the bottom of the East, but 6 games above 500. So I think that we may be looking at some upsets towards the top of the East.
When's the last time you seen the last 2 teams in the West with losing records and the last 2 teams in the East with winning records?
It was probably back at the '96 Bulls, somewhere around there.
Isn't that the
It's
answer?
been a long
That's
time,
the answer
man.
for everything. 95, 96 Bulls.
I'm telling you, man.
Jordan crying.
When Jordan left, there was a huge gap in the Eastern Conference, and I think that's really when things started shifting towards the Western Conference, because you remember that year in the strike-shortened season, the Knicks came out of the Eastern Conference, and they did not even stand a chance against the Twin Towers in San Antonio. They won easily in that series, 4-1, I believe. And despite that, I think you're probably going to have some problems towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference, because there's some good talent there. Miami
young
is one of the
talent.
best defensive teams. Charlotte is one of the better defensive teams. Detroit has a lot of height. The best rebounder in the league right now in Andre
And
Drummond.
worst free throw shooter.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to deal with that.
The
But
Detroit's got a lot of young guys, and they're playing a lot better.
Yep.
Pacers, they're not there yet. They're missing a couple of pieces. They're missing a dominant big.
Yeah.
And
when Hibbert left.
a dominant big and just a quality point guard, man. It doesn't have to be anything special. I mean, a Rubio. No, don't put him on the Pacers. I wasn't saying that, but I'm just as
he
an
wants
example.
to stay in Minnesota for the
Yeah.
next decade because there's going to be a lot of alley-oops.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to turn into the next. No, he's not. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah, but going into the break, we were looking at that Boston-Miami matchup at the 4-5 spot. I think that's going to be easily the best series of the entire first round. Close second, Atlanta-Charlotte. What do you see in that game? Because I think Boston would win in that matchup.
Man,
It's tough going against D. Wade and Whiteside.
I mean, you're not only going against D.
Chris
Wade.
Bosh is not feeling well.
Not only Chris Bosh is out, but you're going against D. Wade, Luol Deng, Hassan Whiteside, Joe Johnson now.
That's true. They
Gordon,
did add Joe Johnson.
Gordon Dragic.
Great backup point guard.
Oh, fantastic backup point guard. Josh McRoberts is one of the last ones off the bench. I mean, look where he was a few years ago.
Yeah, I
now,
love
he
that.
had some injuries that really hurt him. And this is a Miami team that just got some of these pieces in, and they're just now starting to mesh.
So do you think
I-
that
no,
they can
see-
do it in the short window,
See, the
though?
thing is I love Boston. I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
Brad Stevens, dude.
But really, looking at this Miami
He's
team,
the man.
looking at this Miami team, Joe Johnson doesn't have a lot of time left in the league, maybe another year or two.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade's not that far behind. I think they win this series because they're gonna lay it all on the floor this first series.
That's an interesting take, because you're right. They don't have that many more years
And-
at the top, and Bosch included.
Me and my buddy got in a big argument about experience with the Warriors and Spurs, and I was like, well, it's void because the Spurs have more experience, but the Warriors have just experience as well. And like the cancel experience, I think will be an issue here with the Boston Miami game. You got
Boston just getting into the playoffs for the first time last year,
I mean,
since they lost Kevin Garnett and all those guys.
Isaiah Thomas, great player. Do you really think you can put the team on his back in playoff time?
He's been pretty darn impressive and had a sensational game against the Warriors. But for a full series, you're right. It would be hard for me to see that. And I think this one will go 6 or 7 games.
It'll be interesting because, I mean, you got Marcus Smart and Isaiah Thomas at the point guard. Avery Bradley, Evan Turner. I really like, who I really think is the key factor for Boston and what makes them run is Jay Crowder.
Yeah.
And he's
both on offense and defense.
I want to call him. He's more than a poor man's Draymond Green. There's Draymond Green and then there's Jay Crowder. He makes them flow on defense and offense. Boston leads the league in transition points.
Okay.
And that's because of Jay Crowder.
That's surprising. The Celtics out there running and gunning. They haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah, he's he's a guy that's going to get you, just 16 points a game, just like Draymond. But he's going to get you 6, 7, 8 rebounds. He's a stat sheet filler. Yep. He's a stat sheet filler, and that's what it is. He does it all. And that's the thing about Boston is they all do it all.
Okay, so in the next round, Boston or Miami, do they pose a real threat to Cleveland?
Oh, yeah. Detroit
so.
poses a threat to Cleveland. Dude, Cleveland is – I mean, of course, you don't want to bet against LeBron James, but they're –
seems like their focus is all the way off. They win, but it's like, you don't trust them at all.
No, they need to take a lesson from Boston and the Warriors and the Spurs on how to be a team and put aside ego. With Kyrie.
Get off Instagram.
No, yeah, look, LeBron's not, let me tell you this right now. LeBron, I hope you're listening. You're not going to win another championship until you learn to be a true leader.
And make some clutch shots.
And by a true
maybe.
leader, that's not.
Too much to ask? Too soon?
That's not even the clutch. The clutch shots will come
Been
with
in the league
learning
like
to be a true leader.
13 years. How long has it been? It's been a while, man. It's time to step up.
You look at Kobe, you look at Jordan, you look at Draymond Green earlier this year at the locker room. He went off on his team in the locker room. Folks were blowing it up on social media. And he comes out and he's like, it's over with. I said what I had to say. Y'all don't worry about it. You know, that's what Jordan was like. That's what Kobe was like. People say Kobe was a bad teammate. No, he just expected you to give you everything you got. And if you didn't, he was going to call you out. But it was over with. Jordan got in a fight with Steve Kerr, punched him. It was over with.
Quick.
You know, it happens and it's done. With LeBron,
It lingers.
yeah,
For weeks, and the media picks it up and makes it even longer. And I mean, it's a circus.
Let me tweet Kevin Love instead of talking to him in the locker room. Yeah, Kyrie. I'm gonna tweet Kyrie instead of talking to him in the locker room behind closed doors. He doesn't really lead by example. I think he thinks he does. He doesn't know how to be a
like
true leader.
he leads on the court, I would say, and last year's playoff run completely proves it because the guy basically did it by himself with Dellavedova.
He leads on
and when he gets on the floor, he can be a general and move that ball around and use his whole skill set. But off the court, yeah, you have to question what are his motives.
He doesn't.
All this.
He doesn't trust his He doesn't trust his teammates.
All these games.
He doesn't trust his teammates, and that's why there's bickering between Kyrie and LeBron. It's because Kyrie feels like, hey, I can do this, man. Just trust me. And then he gets mad when Kyrie's like, all right, I got the ball. It's my time. You know, I finally got the ball. LeBron, he tries to do it all. He tries to do too much, I think. And it makes it look like team basketball, but I think he's trying to force the issue.
I mean, when you get to the NBA Finals, it becomes a real issue because he's been able to go through this really weak Eastern Conference for his entire career, basically. And now it's kind of stiffening up.
Yep.
And so who do you think would come out of the Eastern Conference if not the Cleveland Cavaliers? Because I'm looking at, I don't think Atlanta. I think maybe Boston or Miami could come out of there. And I know you like Toronto.
You say not Atlanta, but Atlanta's won 14 of 16 and shot up to third place.
They've played well. I just don't trust them. I don't trust them. I think last year was their chance to pounce when they had DeMarre Carroll. They don't have him anymore.
Yeah, well, he was hurt some. I like their team, man. With Jeff Teague, Paul Millsap, Hardaway Jr.'s playing better. Whatever happened to Splitter, though? What happened to Tiago Splitter?
He got away from Pop.
Yep.
Pop was the only guy who could really use him.
Kurt Heinrich, he's still playing?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But I mean,
that's old school.
When you got Kent Bazemore, Al Horford, Dennis Schroeder, Cephalosha for defense. He doesn't do anything. People don't talk about him.
He's just now got back.
He's a
they
defender,
did not have
though.
the benefit of him for the first 2-3 months of the season with that broken leg.
They picked up Chris Humphries.
By the way, I think he won his settlement with against the NYPD for breaking his leg up in New York. Probably going to be he wants $50 million. I don't think he's going to get $50 million. But
I don't think he's going to get 50.
He's going to get some good money. He's going to get some good money, man. That's those lawyers do not.
Right now, you can't bet against. I mean, it's hard to bet against Cleveland and LeBron to at least win the East. He doesn't know how to do anything else more than that without Dwayne or somebody by his side. Dwayne was the true leader of those Miami teams, by the way. It looked like LeBron on the court, but Dwayne was the true leader.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. He is Mr. Miami Heat.
You know, honestly, I think it's going to be. I don't think it's Toronto anymore with DeMarre out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be Atlanta or Boston, or Miami. One of those three if Cleveland doesn't. No, I guess that doesn't really answer because there's only 8 teams and I just said 4. But
it's a good window, and we'll get into more of it next week, folks. But we got a lot of spring football action to get to on the other side of this break, so we're going to get straight to that on the other side. Everybody, stick around. We got more Sports Weekly in just a moment.
The 2016 Fiat 500X has arrived, and it's ready to drive at Fiat of Huntsville. This perfectly bold crossover is impressively equipped with a turbocharged engine, seating for 5, available all-wheel drive, and just $249 a month or $4,000 off. Plus, you get customizable amenities like 5 different trim levels to perfectly match your style. Come experience the all-new Fiat 500X at Fiat of Huntsville or online at fiatusaofhuntsville.com. A Frank Williams dealership.
My grandfather became a jeweler in 1944. My father opened Ed White Jewelers in 1961. And now I'm a third-generation jeweler. Offering a wide variety of engagement rings and a large selection of loose diamonds, plus anniversary and baby gifts have kept our customers coming back for generations. So shop where your grandmother shopped. She loved our quality, and you will too. Shop Ed White Jewelers for the good stuff.
Said Auburn, Florida, something.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Sports Weekly. I'm Seth Hagan alongside Hunter Price, and you've tuned in for probably the best segment of the entire show. We get to talk about some more football. Football truly is a 24/7 thing here in Alabama, and we love it just as much as anybody, if not more than anybody. Got 4 SEC spring games that went down this past weekend. You had Auburn, Florida, Texas A&M, and South Carolina in action. Vanderbilt's already gotten done with their spring game. It was a while ago, and we're not expecting too much from Vanderbilt other than a stellar defense.
Apparently they had 6 reverses.
6 reverses?
Yeah. In the spring game. Which tells
Come
you what.
on, Derek Mason.
Which
Give me a break,
Oh, Derek
man.
Mason isn't calling the offense.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, what are you doing allowing that?
You're not showing anything because
You
they're
what,
not going to
get-
run.
You may get 2 per game
They're not going to run any reverses.
at most?
They're not, Vanderbilt's not going to run any reverses.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
So yeah, exactly.
you
Dude.
doing it for the fans? Like,
No, they're not showing their hand. They're doing stuff they're not going to do. in the
well,
season.
Auburn
That's what's-
certainly did not show their hand this past
they
Saturday. And
shouldn't.
I was
And they
right
shouldn't.
there in the middle of it.
And they shouldn't. I
You're
don't know
right,
why you're
because they
upset
probably
about it.
showed too much in the last couple of years.
I don't know
when you
why.
think about
I
all
don't know
those
why Auburn
explosive
fans are
A&Ms.
upset about the offense being poor. If you really look at it, why would you
Look at the
want-
last 2 Alabama A-days. Certainly didn't look like they were going to make the playoff, and they did.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, why would you want to show your hand at all? If you have something in Franklin, why would you want to show it?
yeah. I mean, he didn't even have a designed run in the entire spring game.
Well,
The only time he
you know,
got loose
a
was
part of
on
that
a-
is quarterbacks
a
has a
sneak.
no contact jersey, so there's not really a point in running. Folks got to realize that. You kind of eliminate for the defense. You kind of eliminate some of the read option. And
Yeah, only one quarterback went live in the entire scrimmage.
was that the Devin Adams, the
yeah,
walk on?
number 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, this team, but obviously, let's look at some of the pros before we look at the cons. A great defense seems to be gelling at Auburn. I was there on the field, and I mean, I have not seen crisper tackling at Auburn in probably 7 or 8 years. It's been a long time since I saw gang tackling, penetration along the defensive line. Obviously, those defensive starters going against second-team offensive linemen, but I mean, they tossed them like rag dolls and did exactly what they were supposed to. And probably the biggest stat that's been going around, just 1 of 22 on 3rd down for the Auburn offense. And of course, people are going to react negatively to that, but I really thought that Sean White looked the best out there. He just still has those little, deer in the headlights moments, and he'll clean that up. I feel sure.
I don't see
but
those moments in Sean White that you see. Man, I
the-
see
the
a guy
drop-
that
the drop pass, the fumble
the
in
drop
the red zone.
The drop pass is
Pardon
Sean.
me, not the drop pass, but the dropped
Interception.
when he's being hiked the ball. He dropped the ball there. He fumbled the ball and turned it over in the red zone. These are the things, the turnovers in the Birmingham Bowl. He gives us something great, and
all right,
then he
hold on.
turns it completely around.
Turnovers in the Birmingham Bowl were not all his fault. If you really want to look at
Okay,
them. All right.
that's fine and all, but they
And
happen.
Sean White, when
They
he got out
happen.
there his first 6 games, Auburn had 1 turnover with Sean White at quarterback position. It wasn't Sean White's fault. Sean White is accurate. He puts the ball where he wants it, and he can.
But then he messes up.
Everybody does. The thing about
Not
Sean White.
everybody.
The thing about Sean White is he forgets it. It's over with. It's moved on. It's not like Jeremy Johnson where he's still thinking
They better
about.
figure it out.
It's not like
because
Jeremy.
we both know that they don't have the playmakers on the outside to make
Yeah,
him
but we don't know.
effective.
I think Auburn could have the playmakers. We don't know what they have yet because Cal Davis set out. Nate Craig Myers wasn't there.
He's a freshman now. They're not going to come in and just be Amari Cooper.
No, I'm not expecting them to. But they're going to bring depth. When you look at the A-Day, you had receivers spread out in different positions that might not usually play in because of lack of depth during the spring with some of those injuries. Ryan Davis has really showed a lot this spring. I expect a lot of
He's
Ryan
a
Davis.
home run threat. There's several guys that
when
could
you really-
potentially break through. Listen, because it's going to be, you got Jason Smith. He's a home run threat. You got Ryan Davis, who is also a home run threat. Marcus Davis hauled in 2 40-plus yard catches, one for a touchdown, and he's just a slot receiver.
They need to use him like Marcus.
Oh, absolutely.
They need to use him
He's
like
been
Wes
so
Welker.
underutilized
He
the
needs-
last
he-
couple of years.
he's a Wes
It's
Welker,
it's a
Amendola type.
travesty. He could have been great.
You know, you put Rock Thomas and Jason Smith on the jet sweep, put Marcus Davis and Ryan Davis in the slot.
Marcus Davis is also, folks, look out for him in punt returns and kick returns. He's lightning.
Oh yeah, the coaches came out and they were like, "Oh, we don't know who's done it. Who's going to win punt return?" And then they asked Davis, "Who's going to do it?" And he's like, "Oh, it's mine.
me.
I won. It's me. Don't worry about it."
You gotta love that confidence. I love that out of the senior.
The receivers, I feel like we're going to be good. Auburn is too deep. All right. Question is Tony Stevens, and what Auburn struggled with is what blew my mind last year.
He just seems to be like right on the edge, but he's always on the edge.
No,
he never crosses the
he
line.
doesn't. He doesn't know how to work his safety, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
When I noticed
You got
this,
to be able to fool the safety.
and it blew my mind why did Malzahn do this when Duke Williams left? Ricardo Lewis should have stayed on the outside with Tony Stevens to both work those safeties. But then what did Ricardo Lewis do? Went to the jet sweep, went to the slot. And that slow turning corner he had.
didn't really catch many big passes after that long pass from Sean in the Kentucky game.
Well, they weren't playing Tony and Ricardo together, so you could focus on the one deep threat, and that was it. You know what I'm saying?
It's almost like they cut their nose to spite their face.
Um,
I don't know why you wouldn't use those folks.
No, I mean, a part of it is, like, who were you going to play the jet? Jason Smith, I don't think he quite understood everything last year. And Rock Thomas, love the guy, but he's got to get tougher. It's frustrating seeing a guy that gets hurt every game, has to go out and not come back almost every game, but then is suddenly fine to go the next game. That's a toughness issue. And that's what really, I don't think folks noticed. I don't think the team realized it. That's the things that really hurt Auburn last year, was no playmakers on the outside and toughness from folks like Rock Thomas, who, what was he, sophomore last year? Should have stepped up. College football nowadays, you're a sophomore. You don't have to be the leader, but it's time to step it up, you know?
And running backs across the SEC are stepping up in that sophomore
And you got to be
year.
tough. You know, you hurt your ankle, I get it, but if you're fine to come back the next week, and that's like that every week, then it's more than an injury. It's a toughness issue.
It's mental as well.
And you got to start doing some more agility and different type of workouts
And,
with your
and
ankles.
we've always kind of recognized that, you know, once we saw him out there and how, I mean, he's just not able to put on a ton of weight, so he's not going to be that starting running back in the SEC. But Gus put him a lot in the slot. He was very successful
he needs
with
to
that
be.
last year, and believe it or not, he's actually the second leading receiver coming back this year.
That's where he needs to be in the slot. He needs to be a Percy Harvin type.
Absolutely, absolutely. Get him out in open space and let him work against single defenders.
Yeah, the defense, I think we saw is obviously what the defensive line showed in the spring game. Not going to see that during the season. You
will see that to a degree, though.
Nah, you had your dominant. They're very good. First string
I fully
D-line.
expect 4 sacks a game out of this group.
I could see that.
5 or 6
but you also got
tackles
Ross. They were going against a second string offensive line that was not meshed, not played together. Some still learning the offense. They looked horrible. All right. Could have gone and taken Coleman's defensive line, and they might have been able to do some damage against Auburn's second string. Not that Auburn's second string is bad, but those guys got to learn to mesh and fill into their right spots. And then you got to learn the call.
And several of them
system.
were freshmen who were redshirted from last year.
I love how young we are, but deep. Yeah. You know, we're old at the right. Auburn is. We. I don't know why I'm saying that.
It's all good.
They're young at the right. Old leadership at the right spots. You know, with Adams, with Lawson. I think Trey Williams is going to be a dog.
Oh, yeah.
Loved him. I like Trey
and again, I said the
Williams.
gang tackling from this team, I mean, these guys were not missing tackles, and when they were, there were 2 or 3 guys behind them ready to tackle. So I really like what I see
unlike the
from this
past few
group.
years when it was a one-on-one thing where everybody else was, I don't know what they were doing, taking a picnic or something. And it was, you know, when you go one-on-one, it's just who makes the play. You know, I mean, it could go either way. It's just who's going to be the playmaker here when it's one-on-one. Having game tackling, it's going to be huge.
Yeah. And the defense, I really think, will mask a lot of the offense's inefficiencies, kind of like they did last year. People forget Auburn had 3 games where they lost by 8 points each.
Well, this is the first time Auburn's had a true. Honestly, I heard folks talking about 2010. I think this is the first time Auburn's had a true starting 22. Does that make sense?
True.
Starting 22 since 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
David Irons, those years.
Yeah, it looks like we have a call, actually.
Do we have a call?
We did.
Did we?
Somebody was calling, but it's okay. Y'all can call back. And just in case y'all don't know, the number is there on the screen, 256-739-5686. But it's okay. We can call back.
Call back.
It's cool because, I mean, we'll open up the lines. It's all good. Talking SEC football, of course. Let's look at Florida really quick because their quarterback did a very good job, and I was very impressed when I was watching on TV. Luke Del Rio, a guy that Alabama fans should remember, who was buried on that depth chart, had himself a game and was slinging it in some really tight corners. Ended up going 10 of 11 for 176 yards and 2 touchdowns.
90.9% completion.
Yeah, I mean, he was slinging it, man.
You know
it was a beautiful thing watching and McElwain's going to have quarterbacks. Y'all got to understand. He's going to have a few in his back pocket. What it's really going to come down to me is, will that offensive line be able to, one, protect him? Will they be able to develop a running back alongside him to take the heat off him?
That was.
And will Muschamp? I mean, this is the last year the Muschamp's players are going to be in Florida. After this, McElwain's really going to have to start focusing on defense because he doesn't want to take that Auburn slide. I
think Florida's going to have better playmakers on the outside. I think their offensive line is going to be better. You know, Montez Ivy, who was pretty good for a freshman, he's coming back.
Number 1 offensive tackle overall.
And you know, a lot of people don't realize, a lot of folks out of Florida said last year that Luke Del Rio was better than Will Grier. And that if he didn't have to sit out, he would have been the starter last year for Florida over Will Grier.
That should scare fans in Tennessee.
Are they really losing something at the quarterback? I don't think they are losing anything at the quarterback position.
Maybe not.
You know, I don't like guys that transfer all around, but Luke Del Rio made a good decision. I think it might come back to bite Alabama. We'll see. Then we had, South Carolina played, didn't they?
Yep, South Carolina played. Brandon McElwain, he kind of separated himself from the pack, being a true freshman on a week where everybody was kind of questioning South Carolina, taking Jake Bentley from Opelika. In case y'all haven't heard, Jake Bentley, who has been the starter for Opelika the last 2 years, is foregoing his entire senior season. Apparently he only has a computer class to take to graduate, and he will go immediately to South Carolina in the summer to start preparing for that role. So it looks like Muschamp may not have a problem that he had the entire time in Florida, which was finding a solid quarterback.
You know that tells me 2 things. Either South Carolina doesn't have a quarterback and they want Bentley to come in, or but I don't think that's the case. I think it's a smart move by Bentley, though. Watching him, he's reached his growth. You know, he can add some weight. He can get better his feet work, his arm. But why spend another year in high school when I can go redshirt? My dad's there. You know, his dad's a running backs coach.
Yeah.
And go ahead and learn the offense and be better prepared to come in as a redshirt freshman.
Yeah. It's going to be good quarterback play coming to the East. We got to take a little break real quick, y'all. We're going to come back, talk about Texas A&M, plus a look at your NFL draft that's coming up in just a few weeks. We're going to get y'all set for that. So stay tuned. One more segment to go right here on Sports Weekly.
The 2016 Fiat 500X has arrived, and it's ready to drive at Fiat of Huntsville. This perfectly bold crossover is impressively equipped with a turbocharged engine, seating for 5, available all-wheel drive, and just $249 a month or $4,000 off. Plus, you get customizable amenities like 5 different trim levels to perfectly match your style. Come experience the all-new Fiat 500X at Fiat of Huntsville or online at fiatusaofhuntsville.com. A Frank Williams dealership.
At College Tire Company, your valuable wheels are safe because our new touchless tire changer protects your wheels during tire removal and installation.
Awesome.
The machine never touches
Thank you.
the
I'm
wheel,
glad
and
we
the
know
new
someone's
Force Balancer Match balances your wheel and tire for a vibration-free ride. Buy virtually new name brand tires and you'll get free rotation for the life of the tire at College Tire Company. With 2 locations to serve you better. In Huntsville, call 489-7110. In Hansville, call 352-2221.
At Premier Bank, you have a financial partner you can depend on. Hi, I'm Jay Mullins, president of Premier Bank, with some exciting news about our financial strength and performance. For the 6th consecutive year, our
do you
bank
want to
has
ask
been
us
rated
this?
5-star.
Yeah, we
by
can
Bauer
ask this on
15
air.
seconds.
firm that has been analyzing and reporting on the financial condition of the nation's banking industry since 1983.
No, it has to stay on. We're coming back
yeah,
in
just
5
stay on,
seconds.
and we're gonna
Banks in the nation.
bring you on here in just a
And a
few
safe and
minutes.
sound
What's your
bank
name?
you can depend on.
Spencer? All right, yeah.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Sports Weekly. We do have a caller. He has called back. We got Spencer here on the line. And
Perfect
Spencer,
timing, too, because we're about to talk Alabama football.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
spring.
So they've got their A-Day coming up this Saturday. Spencer, what was your question?
Well, with a lot of people that's foregone for the draft, there's a lot of places that's got to be filled in. How do y'all think that their season will fare this year? I mean, they do have Cooper Bateman. He has got experience. He's had time to really kind of get to know the offense, which I've noticed in the past years watching Alabama, that's one thing that Saban tries to do is to give them time to be able to understand the offense because it is complex. It's not a very simple one to understand.
Yeah.
And also with Miles over in Auburn, how do y'all feel with as far as Malzahn, if he has another season like he's had in the past? What is your thoughts as far as how if they will keep him or not? Because a lot of people forget he was not their first choice. They were trying to talk about other names and toss other names around, and then he kind of.
Yeah, I thought they were getting Gary Patterson. It looked like, and then Malzahn.
towards the end.
The Plains were
They
going.
were even
the Plains were going out
considering
to Fort Worth.
Petrino. It got kind of
To answer the Auburn question, in my opinion, me personally, I would not get rid of Malzahn. Just me as a coach and looking at him and then working for ESPN on the sidelines, seeing him up close, there's something special about the guy. And, he might not get it done at Auburn. But I also got to remind you, Coach K was 38 and 43 his first 3 years at Duke. To build success.
It's not always just an add water.
Success has patience. It was a perfect storm for Alabama and Saban. But also, I don't think Alabama's recruiting was as bad with Shula before Saban came in.
I would agree with that.
I thought Saban took over a better piece of the puzzle than Malzahn did.
Yeah, and then he was able to add all those JUCO players and really stack that defense quickly.
People jump the gun, I think, with these coaches and success right away. And I grew up an Auburn fan. I want Auburn to win, but it takes time, and I'd rather be patient than win right away.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate time in sports where you really kind of have to win immediately when you're making all this money. I mean, people want results quickly.
And then with Alabama,
$4, $5, $6 million a year. I would say that Malzahn needs to win 9 or 10 games to be safe. If he comes through with another 7, 8 win season, that's just not going to be enough, and everybody knows it. It may not be fair, but it is what it is. So I would think
Malzahn's still learning. He's going to make mistakes. Every coach is Saban still makes mistakes.
But this is really a make or break year. Now, on that Alabama question, I would say that Alabama really does one of the best jobs at filling their offensive line. They've got 15 guys on scholarship right now, and they're just really plugging and playing.
How many are they going to have a scholarship when fall comes? Is anybody else coming in?
I mean, they've got probably at least 3 or 4 more guys coming in, but you know how Saban does, man. He gray shirts guys. You don't even see them on the roster. And they're just pumping weights. You never see them.
He's a sneaky.
And then by the time they get on the roster, they're 320 pounds, and they're moving sledges and
He's
lifting cars and stuff.
Saban's a sneaky little fella.
Yes, he's probably the best.
With Alabama, what I see is, I think Cooper Bateman is probably going to win the quarterback job. Especially with Saban, he doesn't care about flash and yardage. From what I hear, Barnett's struggling to hold on to the ball.
Okay.
He might be flashy, but he's not smart. And with Barnett, the last thing you want to do is put a guy like that out there with Scarborough and Damian Harris coming in, who might be great running backs, but how do they pick up the offense and the pass protection? Because that's the most important thing. That was the biggest difference with Derrick Henry last year and the years before, pass protection. And on defense, I think depth will be an issue.
You think it'll be an issue?
Yeah.
Or just not as good as it was last year?
No, I think they're starting. Their ones on both ends are going to be solid, like always. I mean, their wide receivers, good grief. We were talking about it. I think the guy on the radio talked about it, man. I haven't seen anything like this since Florida or Tennessee back in the 90s.
When you look at Calvin Ridley and Robert Foster and Ardarius Stewart and O.J. Howard, and you've got a 1,000-yard receiver coming in from Bowling Green,
and
transferring and playing immediately. Cam Sims is there. He's a home run threat. I mean, it's stacked. And so, to me, it's not so much about your quarterback or your offensive line, because they're going to be able to get the ball to whoever they want. It is about protecting the ball.
No, it's all about the offensive line and the quarterback.
For Saban's system?
Yes, it's all about. No, it is.
The quarterback doesn't matter. To me, it does not matter.
It is.
The offensive line and the running back for Alabama.
Well, the quarterback. What the quarterback does.
Especially the play action pass, the pass game is all dependent upon that run game.
What the quarterback does for Alabama
is not turn the ball over.
He doesn't turn the ball, but he controls the game and leads the team. Every successful Alabama team had a strong leader that controlled the game behind center.
I agree with that.
I mean, they kept their heads cool. They didn't, like I said, they didn't turn the ball over.
And I think that's one reason why
I think you can plug just about anybody in there. I think
secondary.
Sims
you still
proved that 2 years ago.
Still wondering what's going to happen to Tony Brown. You got strong starters in the defense, in defensive backfield. Eddie Jackson's coming back. Rodney Harrison's back there.
And you hope that Reuben Foster basically supplants.
Mika Fitzpatrick, dude's a baller. And Marlon Humphrey, But
true.
If Tony Brown doesn't come back, I haven't really looked at the recruiting schedule for really any teams. Who's behind them? That's my question.
Probably a blue chip athlete is what I'm guessing.
I'm sure, but they're freshmen. Now, at the same time, those guys I just named were freshmen.
Were freshmen last year. Look what happened.
You just never know what you're going to get with. Well, I say that you know what you're going to get with Alabama, but I think this year more than others could be the year that it goes back and forth on what's going to happen with Alabama, because there are a lot of pieces that need to be filled that aren't starters, but depth and second string.
Yeah. Whoever it is, I still think that Bama is the ultimate favorite heading into the season. I don't care
think,
who
Spencer?
you plug in there now. I've seen it way too many times now to even care about who their quarterback is. Or their running back, for that matter. They've always got a stud.
What do you think, Spencer?
I believe, right now, when you look at the running back position, that's always been a very vital part of their offense.
Mm-hmm.
They do like to grind it out, grind down the defense as they play, so they can be able to
hit the play action,
push it later on in the fourth quarter and kind of take over the game. You look at Scarborough, he reminds me a lot of Trent Richardson. He's got the ability to truck and run you over, but he's also got the agility to cut and make, cut and get around you as well.
Something that Derrick Henry didn't have.
Exactly. Derrick Henry, and that's one thing
Derrick Henry didn't have hips.
Draft. That's what I think hurt Derrick Henry in the draft, honestly, because if he's not going downhill, he can be easily stopped in the backfield.
He can't. I think Derrick Henry is going to struggle in the NFL because of that. He doesn't have hips.
Exactly.
And if when he hits the corner, it's just like Ricardo Lewis. I was saying, it's just a slow turning 18-wheeler.
But once he's gone, he's gone.
It's like Ricardo. I'm like, why is Ricardo running jet sweep? Jet sweep. It takes 10 seconds for him to get the corner.
He got big gains on that play. Overall, I think it was because he was so strong.
Derrick Henry, I think, could have a good 6, 7, 8 year career if he lands on like a Patriots
or Cowboys.
He's going to have to be able to open wide open holes. He needs to have a team that when he gets in there, that it's already set. But when he gets the ball snapped, they've already got a hole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed when he played in college, if the hole wasn't there, he kind of didn't know which way to go, and a lot of times he just kind of, because he could pick up speed, he got hit.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep. And a lot of that's because And getting in the NFL, it might fix it. He runs upright, and he's going to have to learn to get low before cutting. You got.
Oh yeah.
When he cuts, his shoulders go outside his knees, like I always talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And your shoulders go outside your knees. You got to wait for your upper body to come all the way back the other way before you can make it over there. Yeah. You got to keep your shoulders inside your knees when you cut, and you got to get low to do that. And Derrick Henry doesn't
But
do
it
that.
don't matter when you're in college and you have the depth that Nick Saban has behind you.
Oh yeah.
Well, we got to get off here, Spencer. But I appreciate you calling in, man.
Call back next week.
Yeah, exactly. Next week.
Maybe sometimes I can come in with y'all guys and hang out maybe.
Yeah, come on.
Bring it on.
We're up
It's a
here.
party.
First Baptist Church.
All right, man. Take care. Appreciate
Have a
it.
good one.
All right, and so appreciate that, Spencer. Like I said, we'll be back next week, so y'all make sure you call in on that number you see at the bottom of your screen. Let's take a quick look at the NFL draft because we kind of had to work some things in with that call.
Okay, real quick before it gets forgotten, can I mention Travis Story for the Colorado Rockies?
Oh yeah, yes, absolutely.
That's one of the best
on a
stories.
historic home run pace.
Oh, in 6 games, he's hit a home run every game, and he's got 7 home runs as a rookie. I believe he's broken the streak.
Yeah, no one's ever done that before.
And get this, the kid is like a blend between me and you. He's about 6 foot, $180, soaking wet, and he's jacking home runs like he's
That
Barry
proves
Bonds
it,
on
man.
a
It
horse.
is not steroids or anything like that. It's mechanics, man. You turn that hip and you get that torque on the ball. You can send that thing, man.
That's what the Rockies manager is talking about, is his hip action and his lower body is so quick and so strong, and he stays on balanced with it so well.
Now later on in his life, he's going to have to become just better at locating the ball and not relying on that so much, because that's gonna end up having some hip problems later on in his career. I think. Nah. No.
Well, the reason he's doing this is because
Okay.
he's staying balanced with it. If you stay balanced with it, keep your shoulders inside your knees.
All right. Well, hey, shout out to Travis, because I mean that's an incredible accomplishment, and
Keep it up. You're going to be hearing about Travis
crazy,
Story a lot. If you can play NFL fantasy baseball, you should already know who he is. If not, go pick him up off waivers.
All right. So coming up this week, we have a lot of other spring games coming up. I'll be headed to Mississippi State to check that out. Also, you got Alabama coming up, a couple other teams. And we do want to mention that Texas A&M announced almost automatically that they've named their starting quarterback, and it is Trevor Knight, the transfer from Oklahoma. Alabama fans will remember that name for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think about that? Can Kevin Sumlin turn it around? Because I mean, he may be on the hot seat even more than Gus is.
They're still going to be a 9-10 win team at the most. I just don't see. I don't see that in Trevor Knight. I
just wonder whether or not Chavis's defense can take that next step.
It's going to take a year or two to get that defense. Man, people just realize they're like,
was
we
bad.
got 1-2 guys. We got a strong first string. Doesn't matter if you have a strong first string.
Nope.
Auburn's had a good first
depth,
string.
man.
It's depth.
It's depth.
That's
man.
why the Warriors and Spurs are in the best 2 teams. Depth. That's why Alabama's done so good. Depth. It's filling in a spot and not losing a step.
And a lot of that is recruiting. You got to fill these holes. But hey, coming up here in just a couple of weeks, you've got a combine for a bunch of high school students. If they want to get their skills up, come to Hunter.
It's in Birmingham, Alabama, at Carver High School, April 23rd. It's a cleat combine. Sponsored. It's fueled by Gatorade. Sponsored by Adidas.
I love that.
All day I dream about soccer.
Soccer.
But the thing about it, it's a cleat combine. So if you play soccer, go out there. If you play football, go out. Lacrosse, go. Baseball, softball, go.
Yep. It's all about improving yourself.
40-yard dash, vertical jump, 5-10-5, pro agility, power push. April 23rd, Carver High School, $75 fee. Get you a Cool Max t-shirt and a sack pack, and you get tested with the best of them.
Nice.
Ages 8 to 14.
Cool.
Register at cleatcombine.com.
All right, everybody. So, like I said, check that out. And check us out next week on Sports Weekly. We'll be here, same time, same place, talking a bunch of sports. So, for Hunter Price, I'm Seth Hagen. We'll see you next week.
I think that was probably the best one yet.
I think so. can't be so long.
We just get caught up in taking care about.
I'm glad we got a call. That was cool.